Thanks to those joining me live and to those that be joining me on archive. D-Style Boxing here. I'm being joined by the rest of the panel, of course, by Maestro A. Catch the show every Monday, mano a mano with Kenny T. We have Bruce Goes making his debut to the roundtable. Shout out to you, brother. We have Gail. How you doing? Making it, I think it's like her fourth appearance now. So welcome back.
An old pro here.
That's right. Making his debut, of course, to the panel as well. First timer here. Montero from Montero on Boxing from the Ring. Check his stuff out every Monday as well. And of course, well, we don't have to go over Beeb right now, but now it's funny. Beeb from Ringside Reporter every Sunday with Eric Lord. And make sure you check them out as well. We're supposed to have a special guest here today, but can he hear us or not? D, are you there, brother? I cannot see you, so when I see that, we'll get you back up. But with that said, let's go ahead and get this one started. Some stuff came out today. It caught my attention by the mayor of the UK publication. Apparently, Teo Sr. has been texting Eddie Hearn. Okay, he's been texting him, hey, brother, how you doing? How's the weather? No, that's not what he's texting. He's texting him, bro, how could you do this to us, bro? We want 10-2. It was a robbery. It wasn't right. Like, he just told him, how can you do this to us? He is convinced, ladies and gentlemen, he is convinced that they were robbed at the Hulu Theater. So, for what it's worth, let's start with you, Montero. Talk to us, brother. What do you make of this?
Dude, I don't know. This is denial. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, the entire post-fight, actually, it was before the fight. Maestro, you know, we talked a little bit over DMs. I know you got a lot of things to say about this, but I've been saying that Teo Sr. is just living vicariously through his kid. And Maestro has video evidence of that. He's been acting like he won the belts, and what they weren't prepared. I think that they took Kambosos slightly, and now they're just going to keep going with this 10-2 narrative. It was 11-2, but then they brought it back to 10-2. Right. And they're going to keep pushing that because, you know, you can do that on social media these days. There's going to be people out there that ride with you no matter what. So that's kind of the new rule in boxing. If you lose, just say you won, and there's going to be some fans out there that believe you. But 10-2, dog, 10-2, nobody believes that. Not even Adelaide Bird would have scored that shit 10-2. So the stock of Teofimo Lopez, that whole camp has dropped so fast. I tweeted about that, and one of those tweets went viral. I was very surprised because I didn't think that many people would agree with me. But people talk about Andy Ruiz. You know, he kind of hit the lottery when he knocked out Anthony Joshua, and he had a track record. We knew that he was kind of inconsistent in the gym and up and down. So nobody was surprised when he lost the rematch. But with Teo, you know, Top Rank, they kind of paved the streets with gold for him. They mapped out and carved out a career for him, and he was supposed to be the next big guy. And where he was at just a year ago versus right now, I've never seen a drop like this in the modern era. And it's the way they're doubling down. Because Teo Jr.'s posted some crazy shit, I think on Instagram and stuff like that too, going after YouTubers. I don't know if you guys saw that. Some of his comments. I don't know if it was Twitter or Instagram. So they're both just doubling down, and it's not a good look, man.
Well said. Well said. Bruce Goes. Talk to us. Well, what do you make of it? What these texts, the denial?
Yeah, that was bro. That was one of the hugest upsets we've seen in boxing all year. I mean, it was the fight itself. We're not even going to discuss that. We're talking about Teo Sr., man. I mean, the guy's a character. He's waxy. I just think he cannot say I'm sorry. He's one of those personalities, bro. He'll get backed into the door. Facts do not matter. Teofimo Stevens, Lopez Sr. is one of those guys, and like Mike is saying, he's living vicariously through his son. His son supporting the whole freaking family, the whole camp. I don't know what the problem is there, but see, obviously, you know, he can't train his son any longer, and like I said, he's not going to admit he's wrong. He's not the kind of a guy who's looking out for the betterment of his son's career. he's going to just, you're screwing us over, man. You didn't see that fight. Madison Square Garden was booing a decision. I mean, the guy can't face reality, bro. You can say, bro, you're in the Hulu theater. You're not selling out Madison. No, we're selling out Madison Square Garden. Eddie screwed us, man. I mean, he's as fast as you talk to him, he's going to come back at you. It's an unwinnable discussion, man. I've been there before, but this guy, if he sticks around, and it seems like Junior's following in the footsteps, man. He like you said, he's coming back on Twitter. He's blasting people, bro. Hey, it's a sad situation. The only way I can see it happening is if Teo splits with his father, not splits, but gets a professional head trainer, somebody that'll watch out for him in the ring. He was receiving no instructions. Come on, kid, you're letting him do this to you. You're letting him touch your eye like that. Hit him, come on. I mean, bro, Joey Gamache was fired. His strength and conditioning, his nutritionist was fired. Senior's the only one there, bro. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's already too broke to fix or what, but it definitely needs an overhaul, man. That's what I can say on that subject, man.
Definitely something to ponder on for sure. The crowd was booing, but it wasn't a decision.
Exactly.
Gail talked to us. What do you make of it? Like, bro, how could you do this to us, Eddie?
Senior and Junior are going through the classic stages of grief. They're processing the loss they never saw coming. It's the denial, the anger, the bargaining. Will they ever get to the acceptance phase? Well, for the good of Junior's career, he has to. Interesting, Michael, that you brought up Andy Ruiz. Yeah, he shit the bed big time, but you know what? He owned it. He owned it and said, I guess I was partying. I guess I was partying too much. Yeah, we all know Andy, and he also had a rep for it. So, to his credit, he owned it, and he made a big change, and he went to the Reynoso camp. He's been working like a beast. It shows. He's got himself right. Junior, you got to get yourself right, or you are never going to crawl back out. And from my professional perspective, as a person who owns a public relations firm, man, I would be taking away the phone. I would be shutting down the social media accounts. I'd be slapping duct tape over their mouths if I had to, because the hole was bad enough at the end of Saturday night. They both have industrial-sized shovels out, and they're digging away, digging, and they're never going to crawl out of this hole if they don't lay off. Eddie Hearn has nothing to do with how they performed in the ring, the judging. You know what? Eddie Hearn saved the event for them. This thing was going down in flames. So they're going to have to get it right.
That's a great
Eventually,
point.
They've got to look in the mirror. They have no one to blame but themselves. And you're darn right about father living through the son. Haven't we all seen it? Everywhere from the Little League field to the championship ring. I mean, it's a stereotype that lives for a reason.
What I remember was Senior, even in a win, we're saying that Top Rank were trying to screw them. It was a setup. It was this, it was that. So I don't know, like this paranoid attitude, I don't think it's healthy. That's one of the first things Junior said. I know how these people work. Who are these people? I don't know. They've been draining me. Well, bro, like nobody forced you to stay at this weight class. What do you mean they were doing this to you? I don't know about any of that. But Maestro, talk to us.
Well, D-Style, those who follow me know that I live in the Bronx. On my way home, I started to take the Metro North, the commuter train. I make sure that I grab a nice cold one on Thursdays before the HCP RoundTable. And I don't know, maybe, Don Lopez Sr. needs to sit back, relax, and have a salvavida. Oh, my bad. Maybe it's actually a mahu, depending on whether your preference is Honduran or Spanish beers. Not too sure, but, I'll let the people decide. Or maybe there was too much salvavidas or too many Mahu's flowing on Saturday night, I don't really know because, people are questioning whether he was even sober, given the various antics that were displayed. Mike, you alluded to it earlier. I took video footage. There was a parade, a ticker tape parade, a Thanksgiving Day, Macy's Day parade of 7 championship belts to the ring. About 15 minutes of Teo Sr. dancing to DJ music like it was Soul Train. And his son was, I don't know, backstage by himself, warming up by himself. We don't know. Kambosos was ready. There's no game plan. As Gail said, he clearly, as in Eddie Hearn, saved this promotion from Bolivian, to quote Mike Tyson. It was on its way to nowhere. And it's very interesting because I was actually kind of with Teo with the move to Trilla because of the whole Bob Arum lowballing, and I obviously felt that Trilla overpaid for the fight. But Bob Arum, he's doing us dirty. We need to leave Trilla. We need to go to Trilla. Fuck Top Rank. Then all of a sudden it's, Trilla sucks. Trilla's terrible. Eddie Hearn. We're going to do business with Eddie Hearn once his contract expires. Then it was, it's all Eddie's fault. Eddie did it to us. Eddie, what's going on? How could you do that? How could you do that? Do what? What did he do? He put on a great show at the theater. By the way, you didn't sell out the Garden. Okay, I lived in New York City. All right, we know what the Garden is. The Garden is Ali Frazier. The Garden is Lennox Holyfield. The Garden is B-Hop Trinidad. Okay, that was the theater. Granted, you did pretty good. You sold it out, 5,500. I get it. But stop acting like something happened that didn't happen. And it's interesting. Shout out to Radio Raheem and Seconds Out. Because after the fight, he did an interview where he's saying that the next 2 fights he's going to do are going to be pay-per-view fights culminated in a fight with Josh Taylor. Mike said it. It's delusion. It's delusion on steroids at this point. And I got a question for the panel. Are any of you like me and now looking at this whole USA boxing robbed us narrative a little bit different now? Because I definitely am. For years we've been hearing, you were supposed to go to the Olympics. My son, I was supposed to go to the Olympics. I was supposed to get a gold medal. I was the best. They screwed us. Who screwed you? Because after all of this, I'm starting to look at that with a new lens. And I'm going to leave it at that for now.
All right. Beeb, talk to us.
This reminds me so much of the Deontay Wilder situation. It's so ironic. And Teofimo Lopez was the one who called out Deontay Wilder and told him to stop acting like a bitch, right? And he's pretty much being a sore loser the same way Deontay Wilder was, in my opinion. This is the highest level of lack of self-awareness that I've ever seen in recent years. I mean, part of me says to myself, do they really believe the things that they're saying? Are they just trying to live out a fantasy that they want to be? Or do they really believe these things? It's pretty sad. They're burning a lot of bridges. They're tearing down a lot of people in the industry and criticizing a lot of people in the industry. And they're more or less slandering people. And they're calling into question Matchroom's character, Top Rank's character. The whole world is against us. So I don't see how they can function in this fashion moving forward. To me, it looks like they're on a path to destruction. I don't see how they can fix this because they don't want to admit that it's broken. You can't fix something unless you admit it's broken. You can't correct a mistake unless you can admit you made mistakes. And first Top Rank was the devil. Now Top Rank, they're the best. They treated us right. They ran right back to Top Rank after trashing Top Rank and signed a long-term deal with them, right? Now when they were with Matchroom, Matchroom's the best. You know what it is? It's basically if things don't go their way, then it's always going to be someone else's fault. And that's a pattern of behavior that doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon. And then people say, well, he could stay with his father and just no. There's no other trainer that's going to be able to coexist with his father. His father's got to go. His father's got to go. And he's got to bring someone in. But here's the problem when you bring someone new in. It's like when you smoke for 20 years, right? And you stop smoking. It's going to take time to repair all that damage you did to your body. So he's been with his dad for 20 years. He's been with his dad since a little boy. So it's going to take time for him to rebuild and develop a different mentality, because he's had his father in his corner his whole career, basically telling him lies. Round after round, oh, you're winning, convincing his son that he won the fight, and it just wasn't the case. So I'm going to be honest with you. I think that the kid's done. I think he's going to be out for a year. I don't think he's ever going to be the same again. I think his father has done some close to irreparable damage. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I think he's done. I think he's done.
Before we continue, I just want to address this. I got a notification, but it sounds like this is very serious. And so apparently Punch, member of the YouTube boxing community, is in the ICU right now after a horrific car crash. So our thoughts and prayers. This is definitely with Punch, and we hope everything works out there.
Christ.
And after the show, I'm definitely going to see what's going on with that. I definitely wish nothing but the best. I hope everything's okay.
D-Star, I was just with Punch at the fight. We were side by side. I watched the entire card with him just this past Saturday. That's crazy.
Wow. I'm not even sure what to say to that, but hopefully everything works out there, brother. We're all thinking about you, man. Now, as far as the senior thing, anybody wanted to elaborate anything else before we proceed?
I just wanted to add, just follow up. Great points by everybody made, but I think it's a mixture of delusion and a victim mentality, because I didn't even really think about that until some of you guys made some great comments. But Maestro, you're right. It goes back to the Olympics thing, like the amateurs. It's like these guys have just this victim mentality, and it's kind of indicative of society right now. Not to get political, but come on, that's happening more and more and more. We're seeing it with a lot of young fighters, particularly young American fighters. We see this a lot. Every fighter makes an excuse when they lose. Every athlete, I don't care what sport you play. Oh man, the refs were, helping the other team or whatever. Athletes make excuses when you lose because losing sucks. But there's a difference between making excuses and then moving on with your life and improving, and like Deontay Wilder accusing people of attempted murder, accusing the man who built you from nothing to a world title holder, Mark Breland, a wonderful human being, accusing him of spiking your water, and now we're going with Gail. You made the great point. Eddie Hearn and Matchroom saved this promotion. I didn't even think about it like that. That's such a great point. And they outbid Top Rank, and then saved this promotion when it went to Bolivian, right? And now they're getting shit on, as if they have anything to do with the way Teofimo Lopez Jr. prepared. So it is delusion. It's surrounding yourself with yes men and people that don't have the balls to tell you the truth. Or maybe you don't have the balls to be around people that will tell you the truth. Maybe it's that. And then it's the victim mentality. That's what's going on here.
100%. And what I want to just add as well is George Kambosos Jr. ain't with one of the big players in boxing. With all due respect to Lou DiBella, who I spoke to after the fight. He's not with the PBC. He's not with Top Rank. He's not with Matchroom. He's with Lou DiBella. The idea that a Lou DiBella fighter who came to New York City from overseas is going to get a robbery win
in New York.
Against the guy who the entire night, where Brooklyn at? DJ, I mean, as if that would ever happen in a million years.
I want to also add, when I had Senior on, I asked him about Kambosos. This was before when Kambosos was just like the mandatory. And they were extremely confident. I mean, he said the fight wouldn't go past 3 rounds. He said, and his breakdown of Kambosos was, he's just a less crafty Magdaleno. That was his breakdown of Kambosos, which tells you where they were at. I think they were extremely confident going into this fight. So if you put it in the judge's hands, period, you can't really complain about it if it's close. But I don't even think it was close. I thought it was 8-4 Kambosos. Most people feel that way, and your crowd booed you when you said you won. So what does that tell you? You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, hey, Nando, I appreciate, brother. He says, who needs to upgrade their trainer more, Teofimo or AJ? I'm glad you asked that because I could definitely segue us to this question I have for the panel. Who's more than likely going to make an explosive comeback in 2022, right? Is it Anthony Joshua? Is Gary Russell going to get active and all of a sudden make a statement now? Is it going to be Teofimo Lopez? You know, is it going to be somebody else? And we'll just kind of go around here. We'll start with you, Gail, who more than likely is going to make an explosive comeback next year.
Well, I must say, as tempted as I am to name Keith One-Time Thurman, I'm not going to do that.
Do it.
I'm going to say Gennady Golovkin, who completely dropped off the radar, is going to kick off the new year with a beatdown and get everyone salivating about his one last grand blast into retirement.
Okay, all right. I like that answer. Maestro, who's going to make that comeback, brother? Big explosive comeback out of nowhere, 2022.
It's a tough one. I don't really think it's going to be Golovkin, to be honest. People are, oh, Maestro, you're a Golovkin hater. You hate Golovkin. Yeah, I don't hate Golovkin. I just think he's a little overrated. Sorry, guys. I think that Chocolatito is primed to come back. I think that the fight with Estrada was very tight, and I think it's a winnable fight for him. The WBC has upgraded Estrada to the franchise world champion status, and so he's gonna get to swerve Sorong beside and take on Estrada, Chocolatito. Estrada is going to be able to take on Chocolatito. So I think Chocolatito could potentially win that rematch. And if he does, he's got my vote because I do not see Anthony Joshua beating Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk's got his number. He's taking the best shots that Anthony Joshua has to offer. And Anthony Joshua's cardio, his aerobic capacity, his VO2 max is going to sell him short in any fight against Alexander Usyk. So for that reason, it's Chocolatito.
Okay.
I'm just
Republic
not
says
sure
that.
Chocolatito, I think he's already come back. He was at the bottom, speaking of being at the low end. I mean, I think he's already about halfway back. But I agree with you. I think he's got every chance of winning that rematch.
Well, Gail, all the way back means getting that world title. So he doesn't have that right now. Okay. So
I don't think we can call it a comeback, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Shout out to LL Cool J.
Right. Shout out to Afro Rican as well. He says the loser of Devin versus JoJo should fight Teo, or Teo should take a tune-up. I'm not sure yet, to be honest with you, brother. Because even a JoJo, let's say he loses to Devin, it will still be a dangerous fight right now, especially in the state that I see Teofimo in. Thank you for the support there. Michael Montero, talk to us, brother. Who's going to make a big comeback next year?
Well, I like both the suggestions so far. For me, you could talk about fighters coming back from a loss, but there's been a lot of inactive fighters since COVID. And a couple guys I want to see get back in a big way are Dimitri Bivol, who I think could be the class of the 175 division. Joe Smith had a down year because, he got hurt or something. He won a title and everything, but that momentum kind of stalled. I'd like to see him next year. I want to see 175 come back. Beterbiev, Smith, just all those guys fight at least twice next year and please fight each other. So for me, it's really that whole division. And there's several guys like that we can point to that haven't been that active. I just want to see them back in the ring, So yeah, that would be my shout. Dimitri Bivol in the whole 175 division. It's kind of stalled.
Okay. All right. Bruce goes, who's going to make a comeback, brother, next year?
Man, everybody that everybody named, if they have a great show in their next fight, if they blow their opponent away, then they're going to be the comeback. But from what I looked at, and the fights I see on the horizon, the one that excites me most, and I don't know if we're going to call it a comeback fight, but it's the rematch that all of a sudden, bango, it just showed up before our very eyes, and that's Charlo and Brian Castano. And man, I think either one of these fighters can make a splash, but I think Castano, he's coming into Texas for this fight, man. I just think this Argentinian kid is tough, man. He comes from a country where it just breeds champions. I mean, Carlos Monzon. We can go on and on and on. But man, I'm looking forward to this fight. And yeah, I'm going to go with Brian Castano as the explosive fighter, undisputed. He's going to be on that very, very rare. We're gonna attack him on the wall, and I think that's going to be the man upcoming.
Okay, all right. Babe, I know you want to say Teofimo. Come on, he's going to make an explosive comeback next year, right?
He's done.
No?
I'm going to surprise some people. I think Miguel Berchelt can move up to 135, and he can give some of those guys a run for their money up there. I think that maybe he outgrew the weight class. He stayed at 130 for maybe one or two fights too long. And I think if he goes up to 135, I think he could make some noise up there and be a very tough opponent for some of those guys, and maybe even win a world title.
All right. I'm going to go with Anthony Joshua. I think he's going to win the rematch against Usyk. Right? I see somebody in the panel there shaking their head, but it's going to happen.
A lot of people shaking their head.
I don't know. I still believe in Anthony Joshua.
He's got a chance. He's got a chance.
Look, he's defended the loss before. He'll defend the loss again. I don't think he fought the best strategical fight against Usyk, and I thought it was a little closer than some people thought it was, in my opinion. Right? Now it's not going to be easy, obviously, and obviously Usyk is a hell of an opponent, that's for sure, and he is the reigning champion now. But I do believe that this time next year we're going to be talking about Anthony Joshua, the top heavyweight in the world once again. That's what I think, and Fury will probably be retired by then. Okay, your boy. All right. Dude's gonna be retired and gone. I don't think he's gonna do anything else.
Can I ask you a question, D?
Sure.
I only need yes or no answers, by the way. We don't need to get into the long responses here. Just yes or no.
I don't know I was gonna get interrogated, but I'm down. Let's go.
Do you see Alexander Usyk eating sushi off strippers ahead of the rematch?
No.
Do you see Alexander Usyk putting on in excess of 30 pounds of body fat going into this rematch?
No.
Do you see Alexander Usyk eating everything on offer that is available on room service in his Saudi Arabian hotel going into the rematch?
Well, no, his name is not Anthony Ruiz.
No, I'm just saying there are some big differences here between Usyk and Ruiz going into the rematch. True. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Fair enough.
Usyk's just a much better fighter beyond any of the other stuff, the habits. He's just a much better fighter.
Right, definitely. But first off, shout out to Freddie Morris. Thank you for being a member, brother. Much appreciated. It says D-Style panel chat. What's going on? What's going on to you, brother? Well, we will see what happens. But nobody here thinks that Teofimo Lopez. Anybody in the panel believe he will be a world champion again? You don't think he'll be back?
His next fight will be at 140. Josh Taylor will move up at some point, go to 47 to fight Crawford, and there's going to be a bunch of vacant titles, and Teo's going to grab one of those vacant titles. He'll be a champion again.
There you go. I agree. I think he'll be a world titleist again. I believe that.
Oh yeah, they're so valueless right now. There's going to be one of those straps that are available out there. You can bet on that, man. If you
probably the WBO. Let's be honest. If it's top rank, War Bob's organization. he's going to get that WBO.
Yeah, you know it. You know
Some
it.
tough guys up there, man. You got Prograis.
I don't
you got,
know.
I hear you.
I don't know
Hey.
it. I don't know if he beats Postal. I
Well,
don't know that. I don't know if he can beat a lot of these guys ranked in the top 5 across the sanctioning bodies. I mean,
True.
and look, I think a lot of it also is like the psychological rebuilding of what I now think is obviously a very fragile individual who's been damaged by his father in more ways than one. It's a long road back for Teofimo.
Well, we will see how that goes. What about Gary Russell? Will he fight in 2022, or is he done? Like, is Russell done? Is he retired? What's going on with Gary? I saw him in the back of milk carton the other day when I was eating cornflakes. You know.
Hey, Gary has his one fight a year. He's perfectly happy with that, and the rest of us can go pound it if we don't like it. That's his attitude. One fight a year. I'm good. Out. Nothing's going to change.
Who would you guys pick in a fight? Jose Cepeda or Teofimo Lopez at 140?
Against each other?
Yep.
Jose Cepeda all day, every day. You saw what he did, Joshua Vargas, bro.
You got Ramirez. You got Cepeda. Right, Josh Taylor was most definitely.
That's out of the question, Joe. That's out of the question. Let's not even name him.
We will see.
I think Josh Taylor will definitely move up, but I don't know the other guys.
We're going to go ahead and segue to the fights this weekend. The first fight, of course, we'll start with one on Saturday. Joe Diaz will be challenging Devin Haney, although I guess he's an interim champion too. The whole thing's weird over there in the WBC, but Haney's the champion and this guy's the interim champion, whatever, right? But they're going to be fighting each other, all right, on Saturday on the Zone. I do think it's a good fight. So I want to know what you guys think. Bruce, I'll start with you. Who do you have winning this fight?
Well, anything can happen in boxing, as we know. But you know, the way I see it, I see Haney as a bigger fighter. You know, Jojo Diaz, he has to get inside and get to the body. I think Haney he's got a much longer reach. What's Jojo Diaz coming up from featherweight, super featherweight, man? You know, I just don't. I think it's a talented big man against a determined little man, and Jojo Diaz on the outside he's okay as a boxer, but if he gets inside, he's an outstanding fighter, and I don't see Devin Haney letting him do that. Devin Haney doesn't. He likes to retreat, man. I don't see him getting in the trenches. He's admitted he doesn't like to get hurt, which is a terrible thing to hear coming from a fighter's mouth. You know, I would say with my head, Devin Haney's gonna win a decision, man. But I like to go for the underdog. I like to see Jojo Diaz rough him up to the body, and man, you know, the biggest bet in Vegas is Diaz by decision. Man, that would be amazing. I hate predicting fights, bro, but you know, my head says Devin Haney wins an easy decision. Not an easy decision, but a unanimous decision.
Okay, gotcha. Montero, talk to us. Who's going to win this fight and why?
I agree with Bruce. I think that you're going to see a different dynamic this weekend between father and son than we saw last weekend. You know, the Haneys handle their business in a much more professional manner. And I think that Devin's going to come out and just box. I think that Diaz, you know, he's a little general in there, and he's proven himself. But the size difference, I think he's had one fight at 135. Haney knows how to stay on the outside. I don't think that Diaz has the quickness or the explosiveness to kind of catch him the way Linares did in that fight, and he kind of caught him late with a looping shot. I don't see Diaz doing that. So I think we're going to see a 116, 112 kind of decision for Haney. But it's going to be great experience in 12 great rounds for him.
All right. Talk to us, babe. Who's going to win and why, brother?
I really like Jojo Diaz at lightweight. And I was very, very, very impressed with his win over Javier Fortuna. I thought Fortuna was going to beat him. Bruce Goes made an excellent point. No fighter likes to get hit. No one, right? But some fighters you could see they're overly concerned about it. And sometimes Devin Haney does look a little bit tentative. You could see like when a guy's in there and his eyes are like big like saucers when the fighters are coming at him and he's being pressured. And other guys are kind of like just relaxed and just calm, and they're more methodical, and they're just very patient, right? Haney sometimes to me looks like he can be rattled, right? When you press him a little bit, his instinct is to grab. Like if he just grabs you like that and hold. It's not like a clinch a controlling clinch when you grab your opponent and walk him back and maneuver him and line him up at the shots. He just grabs and looks at the referee to break. And that's a guy to me who just hates fighting on the inside. Not everyone can fight on the inside. I mean, Muhammad Ali wasn't a great inside fighter, but he knew how to grab you with one hand and pull your head down and kind of, hit you with the other hand and stuff. He knew how to be crafty with it. But Devin Haney is just looking for help from the referee whenever someone gets in his chest. And I didn't really like how he closed the show against Linares. Linares was like, I think 4-2 in his last 6 before going into, or 3-2 in his last 5, going into that fight. He was long in the tooth. Everyone expected Haney to stop Linares. I had him losing the last 4 rounds. I had Haney eking that out 7-5. That was a much closer fight than it should have been, in my opinion, right? Jojo may not be as fast as Haney, but he's got decent foot speed, and he does know how to work his way on the inside. And when he does come forward, he jabs and moves his head, and he tucks his chin and gets low. He's not that easy to hit, right? And when he does get inside, he's going to make it uncomfortable for Haney. Jojo's a plus 350 here. Haney's a minus 600. I think Jojo's going to pull the upset. I think he can pull it off. I really do. I think this is going to be a rough fight for Haney. I think, Jojo's talking about how, he's tougher. And then you hear people say, well, everyone's tough at this level. Yeah, but some guys are just tougher than others, though. So, and I think that's the case here. I think he's tougher than Haney. I think he's more grittier than Haney. And at this level, sometimes you need those attributes. And I think Haney, I question whether or not he has that. He's fast, but, again, he likes to fight on the outside. He's going to fight that one way. He needs to be on the outside, needs a space. I just think I think this is going to be a hard fight for him. I think Jojo's going to grind out a decision here. I think he's a pull off an upset.
To Joe's credit, Jojo is a changed man. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe Joseph. Okay. This look is in this year. Okay.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting watching him with this look fighting Kambosos if he does win. But we will see. Okay. Gail, who's winning this fight and why?
Like what I hear from Joe. I like what I heard from Bruce. And I heard this from Montero, too. I was ringside for his fight with Fortuna, and man, he made that a rough and tumble affair. They were banging away, and Jojo was loving every minute of it. Well, you're so right. Some guys just, I get it. The idea is to hit and not get hit, but some people really, wrap their whole strategy around that. Haney wants to be Floyd, but the problem is, Floyd had to go through fire first before he became Floyd Mayweather. And Devin hasn't had that happen yet. Mm-hmm. And we know in that portion of Floyd's career, he squeaked out some close ones and he was handed 1 or 2. We all know it. I see Jojo being very determined. It is the year of the upset. And every time another upset takes place, it gives fuel to the guys coming up behind. So I'm looking at the calendar. We got 28 days left in the year of the upset. And I think we're going to see one more. Jojo needs to make it rough, mean, dirty, see what he can get away with, pressure. And Devin is not going to like that. He needs to rattle him. He needs to shake him off his game, rattle his cage, and he's got a shot. Those odds are way out of line. I'm not a bettor, but if I was a betting woman, I would be putting money on Diaz with those odds. And he maybe he won't pull it out, but I think he's going to give himself every chance. And unlike the gentleman we were just talking about, he's going to be able to walk away and say, listen, I gave it everything I had.
He's not going to have his Kanye moment. Like, hey, I'm going to let you finish, but I want this fight.
Yeah.
No, nothing like that.
No.
No. Right. Okay. Maestro. Well, first of all, before we go, so far on the poll, who's more likely to pull the upset? Jojo Diaz, 79% to Cruz, 21%. Make sure you guys vote. Let us know what you think. So there's the poll. Maestro, talk to us, man. How do you think this fight's going to go?
Yeah, well, I actually participated in that poll, D, and I put my vote down for JoJo. I'm not very bullish on Pitbull going into this fight. Look, Ellerby and Mayweather, they pretty much just pick opponents, handpick opponents for their man to beat up on. So, but turning to the JoJo fight, Gail, you were spot on, because when I was thinking about this fight, you think about it in terms of the development of Floyd Mayweather, because that's what is put out there by the Haney team and by the Haney fans and by, honestly, Haney himself. And this could be a Renato Hernandez fight, or it might just be Jose Luis Castillo numero uno, where Castillo put up a great performance, and you know, many people saw him winning that fight. I know I did. I was very young, or much younger, when that fight took place, and I was definitely influenced by the judging at that time of the HBO commentary crew. But I rewatched it later on as an older person, and I also had him winning that fight. This is the thing that I want to wait for before I make my official prediction. I want to see how JoJo looks on the scales. I want to see the kind of shape that JoJo's in. And I think because of JoJo's past issues making weight and being ready for fights, that's a reasonable request for me to make. At this point, I want to lean towards the younger, bigger, faster guy in kind of a 55-45 split. But I agree with Gail. Like, he's being underestimated. This is a high-level amateur, very skilled guy. His issues as a pro have really been on him more than they've been about anything else. So I'm waiting until Friday, and then I'm going to make my official pick. But right now I'm leaning 55-45 Haney.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty close. That's as close as it gets sometimes. You know what I mean?
Coin toss.
I have to be honest. I just think there's a big difference in the speed. That's my opinion. But if JoJo can get inside, and here's the key: if the ref lets him work inside, then that's going to tell us a lot about the fight. It really is.
Excellent point.
If Haney is allowed to just hold nonstop for the whole damn fight and doesn't ever get a warning, then it is what it is. But that's going to play a big factor, in the fight. If it played a factor with Ali Frazier, right, of how much Ali was allowed to hold from fight 2 compared to fight 3, believe me, it matters in all fights. So if a ref tells him, hey, you got to stop holding, it changes the whole thing, right? So that's what I'm waiting for. And maybe he can use Haney's long arms against them being on the inside, turn the advantage into a disadvantage. Can he pull it off? I'm going to say no. My official prediction is Devin Haney winning a pretty lackluster decision. No shade, but that's just how I see Devin. The more boring this damn fight is, I don't care what anybody says, the more that favors Devin Haney. The more exciting this fight is, meaning they're in there, they're grinding, the ref's letting them work, it favors JoJo, in my opinion. Okay? So that's just the way I personally see it. That's my opinion. All right? Let's go. Does anyone want to add anything about this fight before we proceed?
One quick point. If one guy is forcing the fight and the other guy is holding, and not a lot of punches are landing, I'm curious to see how those rounds would be scored. Those are the type of rounds that will be, some people will say, well, no punches are really being landed, but then you could look at the ring generalship aspect of the round and you can say, well, at least this guy's coming forward and he's being the aggressor, even though he's not landing shots, and the other guy's just being defensive. So Haney does have a tendency to be negative sometimes in fights, as you like to say, negative. And that could work against him in some of these close rounds, depending on who's judging the fight.
Definitely. Chauncey Pearl says, salute, guys. Prayers going out to Punch Drunk Boxing. Hope the community can band together and send in positivity, good vibes, and the speed of recovery. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That is devastating news. We wish nothing but the best. Man, I don't even know what to say at the moment. But I definitely hope nothing but the best for Punch. And I'm going to be keeping a close eye on that pretty soon after the show. Let's talk about the fight. Y'all know you're going to fork out that. What is it? $80? How much are they charging for this fight? Does anybody know?
I think it's 80.
I think it's 80. Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, all right. So $80. You know, we love the sport. We cover the sport, so we got to buy it. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But I'll say this. Here's what I'll say. Let me get my thoughts first. And I honestly think, in fairness, this fight's going to be pretty exciting up until it ends. Like, while it lasts, it's going to be exciting, in my opinion. And I'm hoping Isaac Cruz catches him flush on that chin and drops him. That's what I'm hoping. Like, I'm not going to lie. I hope Isaac Cruz knocks him out. All right? It would be beautiful if Haney lost, if Tank lost, and it would just kind of just send it would be like the boxing god sending a message. Like, you know what I mean? Like it will be a message. Like, no, y'all wasted our time. That's what you get. So I'm hoping Cruz wins, but I do believe that Tank is going to utilize some of his boxing, okay, and it's going to go, and he's going to go ahead and pull off the victory by being a slightly better boxer. I just think he's a better overall fighter than Cruz. He doesn't have to go out there and slug it out with him. I think that would be stupid anyway. Okay. But I think Tank is going to, in pockets, be boxing better. Okay. He has longer arms than Cruz. And believe it or not, yes, Tank's only, what's Tank, like 5'5" or something?
Close
like
to
Cruz,
5'6",
like 5'1", like, you know what I mean? This is a short ass dude. I'm just saying. Right. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to watching the fight itself. I'm not looking forward to forking out money for it. This is not a real quote unquote title fight. And it's not a pay-per-view fight. It just isn't. And I don't know how they're going to grow Tank's profile by hiding him on pay-per-view. I just don't know. All right. So Joe Abib, I'm going to start with you, brother. Talk to us. Who's going to win this fight?
You know, Gervonta Davis is a very versatile guy. You know, he's not the tallest guy in the world, but he's got very long arms and he's got a very good jab, and he could fight inside, mid-range, and outside. So I think no matter where he's forced to be in that ring, whether he's up against the ropes, he's a good counterpuncher. I just really think he's a well-rounded overall fighter. And to top it all off, he's got freakish power in both hands. And I love southpaws that have good right hooks because that's a rarity. You can count on your hand how many southpaws had really strong, powerful right hooks. And when you have a guy like Tank who can hook off that jab and then come back with that sneaky left uppercut, very dangerous guy. So I can't see Tank losing this fight. I love upsets. No one loves upsets more than me. I love to bet on upsets. I love finding the value. But I just can't really see a way that Cruz can pull this off. And another compliment I'm going to give Tank too is he's always on his game. He never, ever fights down to the level of his opposition. Sometimes maybe he does struggle to make weight. He's a thick, stocky guy, right? So I think eventually he's gonna be a 140-pounder full-fledged. But you know, he seems to be on the straight and narrow. He seems to be really focused and disciplined as of late. And I'm looking for Tank to stop Isaac Cruz in about 5 or 6 rounds, similar to what he did to Santa Cruz. Sorry about that.
Hey, he knocked him out so bad you forgot his name. I mean, it is what
Yeah.
it is. All right, there we go. Maestro, who do you got? I know you're feeling that upset buzz, right? Like you're ready to pick Cruz. You're ready to roll with Cruz or what?
Well, D-Star, I had my wife bring me this little guy over here.
Isn't he adorable?
This guy's about 2 months old. Okay, we picked him up off the street. His name is Coda. Great little cat. All right. I'm putting him in the shot D-style for a reason. You see Cota over here, he's got a big appetite, but he's got as much chance of beating D-style in the fight as this dude has of beating Tank Davis on Sunday night. Okay, so that's enough for you, Cota. You can go back to mommy. All right, and go have some
right
fun.
now, Coda's like, I want a piece of D-style. Whoop his ass right now, Coda's saying. You know what I mean? Coda's like, yo, what do you mean?
So, you know,
what I mean?
he's still hanging around. He doesn't want to go anywhere. His brother's out of view right now. We picked both of them up. They're rescue cats. All right, we're cat people over here. But Tank Davis is going to obliterate this dude.
Obliterate.
I mean, you know, look, I clowned the dude for having the biggest nostrils in the game. Whoa. Right? I clowned the dude for the stunner, the Detroit stunner shades. He's always rocking, you know. But one thing I'll give Leonard Ellaby credit for, he's damn good at picking cannon fodder. And that's exactly what he's at Cruz is. You know.
What are you talking about, Maestro?
I mean, look, I'm sorry. Anytime I see Leonard Ellaby in camera view, I'm thinking they're doing the plug for Manscaped. And what do they call it? The weed whacker, Joe?
Yes, the weed whacker.
I could put my weed in there. No shits. Like,
that shit that you be selling to clean out the nose. You know what I mean?
Yo.
So look, man.
He ain't gonna answer your questions at the press conferences now. I'll tell you that.
Bro, I already know PBC ain't giving me any fucking credentials. So
they do that.
If I'm reported on a fight, it's gonna be from the bleacher section, you know, talking shit to Kenny T on the phone. So I'm not afraid of clowning that clown. and I'll clown that dude any day of the week. Anyway, shout out Manscaped. You gotta use that promo code Ringside Reporter. You know, get your nose hairs cleaned out. Right. You know, shout out Leonard Ellaby. You know, the nostril game is on point. Okay. But yeah, I mean, one thing he's good at, like I said, he's good at picking cannon fodder, and that is what Isaac Cruz is. He looks good in the highlight reels. Let's not get it twisted. He looks great. You know what I mean? But he's about to get pieced up by Tank Davis on Sunday. So, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, we're gonna see how that one goes. And Montero, you gave us an hour of your time. So I want to ask you this before you go, of course, about the two questions. This fight, who's gonna win and why? And what do you think of it being on pay-per-view, obviously?
Okay.
And how pumped up are you for Khan versus Brook?
Oh shit, Khan versus Brook. Look, we're gonna watch. It is what it is, but that fight is, oh my God, like 10 years past its due date. But if you know, it's smart because they picked the Saturday after the Super Bowl, so there's nothing going on that weekend. People are going to have a drought from the Super Bowl. I mean, shit, let me go ahead and get this. So I think it'll actually do pretty good. Of course, it'll do good in the UK. When it comes to Tank, I could rant for an hour, but just to put things in perspective here. You go back to when he fought Gamboa here in Atlanta, where I live now. I did a feature story in Ring Magazine on Tank before that fight, like a preview story. And I talked to Leonard Ellaby. He does have huge nostrils, Maestro, but he is an extremely charming man. And he's very, very good at what he does. Very, very good. He's an extremely charming guy. And the one thing about Leonard, I will say, he takes the criticism pretty well. He'll rock with it, and he'll still mess with you. You know, I won't say F, but he'll still be cool and he'll still work with you. But I talk truth about Tank Davis and what they're doing over there, their business plan, and so has Doug Fisher and Tom Gray and several folks at Ring. They blackballed us, all of Ring Magazine, from his last fight here in Atlanta. I applied for credentials. Several people at Ring, my editors, sent letters and everything. They blackballed us. So they have completely blackballed Ring Magazine simply because we took him out of our ratings at 130. We didn't know where to rate him. We didn't know if he was at 130, 135. They were super pissed off at us. In my articles, I've just written about the fact of what they're doing. They're picking. I'm just going to step over the line here a little bit. demographically, they're choosing fighters of certain demographics. They're building them up in the preview shows and all that kind of stuff to make it look competitive. These are complete mismatches. Santa Cruz, it was going to be Raldo Romero. Now it's a different Cruz. And they're going to keep doing this. They're building up the brand. Go ahead, Maestro.
Sorry to cut you off, Mike, but I'm going to say maybe what you were skirting around, and I'm going to just say it straight up. They pick their black fighters, and they pair them against Mexicans and Mexican Americans to try to drive up the ticket sales
and British guys when they can,
and pay-per-view numbers, and British dudes, absolutely.
You say it because I can't. You say
I'm saying it to you right now. I mean, shout out to mi abuelo Carlos Teodoro. He was Mexican. Okay, so I'm gonna just say it. You know, that's PBC playbook 101. We know
that's what they did with Floyd, dude.
We know this.
Right? That's what they did with Floyd. And now they're doing the same thing with Tank. And anybody who speaks the truth about that gets labeled the ISTs and all these other words that are nasty. That has nothing to really do with it. It's just telling the truth about their business plan. Here's my question. We all know he's going to knock out Cruz. It's just a matter of time. I'm covering this event for ringtv.com. Even though they blackballed us, won't credential us, I covered this last fight here in Atlanta. I'll cover this one for the website as well. We're still covering him, even though they completely blackballed our entire platform. My question is this the last pay-per-view? Because this is going to, I don't want to swear. This is going to freaking tank. Yeah, I think it's going to tank.
This may be the lowest.
Let me translate. It's going to fucking bomb.
This
it's going to
fucking be his lowest.
It's going to be his lowest.
This will be his lowest pay-per-view that he's ever.
Now, the yes men in the media, there's 2 or 3 of them. You know the names. I'm not even going to name their names. They're going to report it at 250 or whatever. But the real number is going to be around 150. It's going to fucking tank. And I wonder if this is going to be that threshold, that breaking point where they say, okay, we got to go back to Showtime for the next fight. If we're going to keep doing showcases like this against B-level, C-level opposition, no disrespect, but this is a B-level fight. No disrespect to Cruz. He's a good, solid prize fighter, but he's not at the A elite level. He's just not.
Mike,
if they're going to keep doing this.
And I want to add something. Look, if they're going to go the whole, like, wow, we're going to put him in there with a Latino or Mexican so they could sell, like Mario Barrios, that you could, I mean, you would think, at least put him in there with Jose Ramirez, Jose Cepeda, or something like, like
they didn't have titles, D-style. That's the other playbook.
Those are good fighters, but there was top
class. They do weight class jumping. Let me jump up to this weight class and take out a regular title.
Where's the mark at? Where's the mark at? Oh, the mark's here now. We're gonna go up. Oh, the mark's here now. It's just like if you're gonna go rob a liquor store, you're looking for the mark. That's where they're going. They're hopping around and it's like my whole thing is if that's your business plan and what you want to do it. Manipulate gullible fans. Cool. You're not the first. You won't be the last. Look at what the fucking Paul brothers are doing. Just be honest about what you're doing. Just say we're not taking challenges right now. But they're marketing this guy as a 5-time world champion. And let's be clear. He's never been a world champion. He's been a 1-time title holder, a 4-time partial title holder. Huge differences between those 3 things.
I mean, we don't even have to talk about world titles, though. Like, look.
But that's how they're marketing him, and it drives me as a purist. Because here's the thing. I'm known. Sorry to cut you off, brother. But in my group of friends and my family, I'm known as the boxing guy, right? So I'm constantly being asked, yo, what about this dude? 5-time world champion? He's the new Floyd? Oh, shit. Is this worth $80? And I have to try to explain to people, no, dog. Don't, no, and then they're like, dude, you're a hater. And it's like, I'm not.
I was about to say they could call you a hater, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know, because I know you got to go to Montero, but like I don't know if you remember the that little show they do. Like I forgot what it's kind of like they're 24/7 on Showtime.
All access.
All access. With we're like,
you can't watch that.
Tank's like trainer. He sees a thing in the Mayweather gym, and he's like, oh wow, it's talking about Floyd when he said he was a 3-division champion. He was undefeated. It's just like you, Tank. It's like identical. And I'm like, what the fuck what are you talking about?
Exactly.
We don't even have to talk about titles. Like, all we got to talk about, when has he ever beaten a top 3 fighter any of the divisions
Top
ever.
5 in their prime at their best weight. And you know,
maybe Pedraza, maybe.
That's his
That
best
was the
win,
last
dude.
competitive fight he was in. I was at that fight at the Barclays. That was a.
And then he
That's
says
his best win.
Then he
Best
gets
win.
mad. Then he gets mad when he's asked, "Well, when are you going to fight these top guys?" And then his
Right.
response is, "Well, these other top guys aren't fighting each other." Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
Lomachenko fought Lopez. Lopez fought Kambosos. Haney's fighting JoJo. These
Yeah.
are all better fights.
Look at 140. All the guys fought each other, and Taylor won, and he went up to 40 to just pluck a interim or whatever the hell it was title. Look, he has a built-in fan base. They're building a niche market. It's genius what they're doing. It really, really is. They're going to Floyd Mayweather's fan base and the hip-hop community. Tank has a house here. He has a daughter here. He's really, really popular here in Atlanta with the strip clubs. He's very, very popular here. And they're building that niche fan base that's extremely loyal. And that 200,000 or so people will drop $80 every time. He could fight me. They'll pay $80. But they keep talking about this guy like he's a superstar. He's a big, big star. No, he's not. Tank Davis could walk down the street in most towns in America. Nobody knows who the fuck he is. That's the truth. Outside of those niche communities, if they want to appeal to a broader base of fans, he's got to start fighting better fighters. And until they do that, he's not going to be the crossover star they're trying to tell us all he is. It's smoke and mirrors. And if you tell the truth about it, you get blacklisted.
That's right. Hey, Montero, tell everybody where they can find you, your platform, all that good stuff before we let you go, brother.
Everywhere on social media, Montero on Boxing. My podcast, The Neutral Corner, it's exclusive to Ring Magazine and Ring TV. It's every Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern. And as I mentioned before, I'll be covering the fight card this Sunday for ringtv.com. So look for my recaps there where I will tell the truth. You go to some of those other sites, it's just going to be PR work. If you want to hear the truth about the fights, what's that?
You going to be in Vegas, Mike?
No. I'm covering it remote.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm actually calling some fights here. I'm doing some commentary for a card this Saturday here in Atlanta. So I got to be here for that. So I'm just going to cover it remotely.
Got it.
All right, brother. Have a good one, man. Thanks for
Thank you
coming
so much, guys.
One last question, Mike.
Yeah.
Best father trainer in the sport right now, because I'm going to be talking about that on Overtime. Best father trainer.
Shit.
Give me a vote.
Teo Sr.
Yeah, Teo Sr. Give me a list. Give me a 3 or 4, because I'm
Lomachenko and his dad, they're the best father-son, in my opinion.
Do you agree with that?
And his dad trained Usyk to beat AJ, so.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I like the dynamic between Devin Haney and his father. I like the way that they what they've built. If you're going with a young American fighter, but maybe overall, maybe Loma and his father. Yeah, sure.
Cool. Thank you, Mike.
All right, everybody. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Ciao.
Peace.
Bruce goes, brother. Talk to us. Tank or Cruz? How do you see it?
Man, like everybody was saying, almost everybody. I think this is it's a made for Tank fight. Cruz comes in low, and he's fighting a little guy, man, a little guy whose best punch is that uppercut, and to a short and sweet. I think Cruz was lucky. He's a replacement for some guy who should have never been there in the first place. He's making some money, but I think he's going to get stretched out, man. Like Joe said, 5 rounds at the most, man. I think that uppercut's going to come into play, and we're going to see Leo Santa Cruz all over again, bro.
All right, okay. Gail, talk to us. What do you got in
This
this?
is going to be a weird situation for Tank, because how long has it been since he was standing across the ring from somebody that he could look down on? Maybe never. So, I'm not sure that uppercut's going to be the weapon of choice. But what does it matter? Yeah, this is a cherry pick. Isaac's going to be able to take a nice check home. But come on. Big star, big pay-per-view star. A big pay-per-view star would not be on TV on a Sunday night in December on a weekend where half of America has gone out to buy a Christmas tree or starting their round of holiday parties. They're busy. It's the end of Hanukkah. It's, like that's his audience. Give me a break. Just, it doesn't even pass the smell test. A Sunday night pay-per-view, and this guy's a star. Come on. That's ridiculous.
Man.
And that is not to say that I don't think Tag has skills, but if you put too much bubble wrap around these guys and protect them, when you finally have to take it off, you find out that they're breakable. That's not the time to find out. It's going to be a rude awakening when it does happen. So, and I am also in on that Lomachenko and Papachenko duo. I don't think you can beat that for father-son. But I will put on the list Virgil Ortiz Sr. and Jr., especially because Sr. was smart enough to know when he had reached his limits and called in another trainer. Apparently, there's another trainer change in store, but he knew what he was doing and knew when he'd reached his limits. And that takes a lot to be able to say that.
Very, very, very good point there, and you're right. A lot of people feeling the holiday spirit, like jingle bells, you know what I mean? Like jingle bells, this fight smells, Leonard Allerby's knows all the way.
Hey,
like,
I am in the beautiful position of not having to pick because I'm going out to a Christmas concert. I'm not watching the pay-per-view. Hell no. And I think there are a lot of people like me who, we got other shit to do. We're not going to be watching.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the one and the only Dave, far away from the shoe shine. How's it going, brother? And what do you got, Tank? Or you going with Cruz, El Pitbull?
I wish I could be rooting for Cruz, but let's be real. God, I was more excited about Raleigh Romero. Honestly, they were building up something kind of special there, something kind of goofy until he was derailed by his own doings or whatever his indiscretions were, right? They were actually building something sellable there. I don't see how this does well at all on a Sunday. I'm absolutely not purchasing this fight. I'll gladly watch the highlights later when they're available. But Isaac Cruz coming up in weight. I mean, he's kind of a podgy guy, a stocky guy. He's absolutely probably going to get knocked out in less than 9 rounds if he makes it that far. But they need to take the training wheels off Gervonta Tank Davis. We're having back-to-back electrifying lightweight performances. We had one guy with the biggest upset of the year, George Kambosos, last week. And this week we get to see the remaining guy, the missing factor with the one belt, that's holding this division from being undisputed. We're going to get to see Haney versus Jojo Diaz, he deserves to be applauded in the lightweight division. What he's done this year, moving up in weight, taking on all these difficult challenges. And meanwhile, you got Floyd with training wheels on Gervonta Tank Davis. So I'm absolutely not a fan of what they're doing with his career. And I'm going to say that Jake Paul is probably going to be the big seller at Showtime in December. Those numbers are going to far exceed with whatever base he's working with. Casual base, pop culture base, he'll probably do way bigger numbers than Gervonta Tank Davis.
Man, well, there you go. We're going to see, man, because obviously Showtime can't afford to lose money forever, so we're going to see how this one goes. Another quick question for the panel, kind of just impromptu a little bit, but I saw a video of Floyd Mayweather on Twitter where he's first of all, he's complaining. He's so concerned about Canelo's career, saying that he doesn't like the fight with the cruiserweight. He said, quote unquote, this guy was always at the Mayweather gym and everybody got the best of him, unquote. Like, okay, can we see any footage, Floyd, or something? Like, I mean, give us something now, you know what I mean? And who was getting the best of him? Like, can we get any details? I don't know. But most importantly, since sticking to the Tank thing, and you could comment on that, of course, if you guys want, but the main course is, he said, a reporter brought up, hey, did you see the video where Canelo, gave a shout out to Isaac Cruz? And Floyd said, well, I don't know why Tank is wearing his boxing gloves if he's rooting against him, quote unquote, right? I found that interesting. Maestro, what do you make of that?
Floyd, here's what I think about it. Since he's retired, he's constantly sought to seek the limelight by inserting himself into boxing current events. So much so that an Al Heyman fighter in Deontay Wilder even had to call him out for it. There isn't a big fight weekend that goes by without Floyd finding some kind of way to insert himself into the story. He famously used to announce fights on the Saturdays of big time pay-per-views. So none of this is surprising to me. It's typical Floyd. It's Floyd seeking attention. I'm not a psychologist, but I play one on HCP RoundTable from time to time, and I see it as the outcome of a childhood and upbringing where he was a child that constantly wanted attention. Unfortunately, he hasn't really evolved beyond that, and till this day, to quote Deontay Wilder, he continues to seek the attention of the media, even years after he's retired from the sport. Case in point, Logan Paul Floyd, which by all accounts was an embarrassment. So, par for the course, typical Floyd, unsurprising, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Bruce goes. Talk to what do you make of that? Floyd is he doesn't like the fact that he gave a shout out to to Cruz, and that he's kind of chiming in on Canelo's career and all that. Well, what do you make of it?
Yeah, Floyd. I think Floyd has that syndrome where he just doesn't like being out of the spotlight. He did the crazy stuff to his hair, to his beard. I mean, the Jake Paul fight, dude. I just think Floyd he doesn't like to lie idly. He's got money to burn. I mean, he's a rich cat in a fast city, and he's not going to stay out of the spotlight. He's going to be the man. Even though he should be promoting Tank to the max, it's always going to be like Senior Lopez. My boy Tank, and he's going to call the shots as long as he's running the show. I hope Tank smartens up after a while, because I think there's greatness in Tank Davis, but unfortunately I don't think with Mayweather with the matchmaking that we're getting, I don't think we're gonna see that, and we're certainly not going to see that on Sunday, man. A pay-per-view. When you start talking about pay-per-views, then maybe I'll chime in a little more. But to me, it's ridiculous with all these pay-per-views going in our faces.
Okay, what do you make of it, Beeb? I mean, he said, I don't know why he's wearing Canelo's gloves. Canelo's rooting against him, he said. You're muted, brother.
I don't think he's rooting against him. I think he's just showing Isaac Cruz a little bit of admiration, because he's Hispanic as well. It's a little kind of like a brotherhood type thing. I think it's kind of petty for Mayweather to say something like that. Mayweather, he's just kind of very jealous sometimes. He's got it all, but sometimes he seems like he's not really happy with everything. He seems like very insecure. So something like that really shouldn't bother Mayweather, but for whatever reason it does. Like I said, he's petty, in my opinion.
All right, Gail, same question to you. What do you make about those comments from Floyd Mayweather?
Oh, fame is a very powerful drug, isn't it? And you have a very hard time living without it. Floyd, of all people, Floyd is the master of commerce. Say what you will about any other aspect of Floyd's life, he is a superb businessman. Are you saying that Canelo shouldn't have sold his product to somebody? Come on, that's ridiculous. This is Floyd inserting himself where he doesn't belong. And if I'm Canelo, I might not use the kiss-off phrase he did with Demetrius Andrade, but I might say, gracias for your opinion, move on. I mean, right? What does he care? He doesn't.
What do you think about this 408 saying this? He also added, by the way, he wants that Benavidez is a better fighter and a better matchup than the cruiserweight guy.
If you had to ask me, these styles, I think Floyd is salty. He's salty for one thing, that he's not the kingmaker in the sport of boxing that he envisioned himself as. He's not only is he not the face of boxing, but none of his proteges have turned out to be the face of boxing. Remember when they tried to sell us Adrian Broner as being the replacement to Floyd Mayweather? And now he's advocating that it's Gervonta Tank Davis. But the truth of it is it's a guy that lost to him. Canelo Alvarez is the current face of boxing and the highest grossing pay-per-view boxer out there. And that's all it is he's salty that he doesn't get the credit. Maybe he wants Canelo to say thank you for beating me up in the ring and teaching me what you taught. I don't know what he wants from Canelo, but he's salty.
Okay, all right. Well said, guy. I definitely I just find it weird that he's chiming in on what he thinks Canelo should do when this dude fought Conor McGregor in an official boxing fight. Okay, I mean, this cruiserweight can't be that bad, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I know Floyd was up there in age. I get that, but still, you know. A shout out to Alexis. She's HCP RoundTable. A shout out to you. I appreciate the support. Shout out to Blood Boxing, Chicano Prophet, Ruiz Reyes, Haplotype on here, and Freddie Mars, 92AQ, the Shoe Shine. I cannot yet announce, guys, what it is exactly, but it's going to be a big announcement coming soon for Tuesday. Some special guests that are going to be coming on. It's actually a pretty big deal. So make sure you guys stay tuned and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell button so you're notified when that big deal stuff happens. Okay.
Can I add something, D?
Of course, yes.
Maybe Floyd's hating because he got pieced up and beat up by cruiserweight, the great Logan Paul.
I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. He's like, man,
I mean, am I lying, or did Logan Paul not land leather on Floyd? Like, honestly,
he did struggle.
If I was scoring that fight, shout out to Joe Habib, because I know Joe Habib.
He struggled with a cruiserweight novice.
Had it very similar in the scorecards to me. I had Logan Paul winning that fight.
Logan Paul won.
Logan Paul.
Yeah,
Logan Paul beat Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Floyd's not undefeated anymore.
No, bro. Correct me if I'm wrong. But when Floyd went to Japan, when he went and he fought that young Japanese boy, I think he was like 135. Was that considered a fight on? That was on his record, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't official.
No, that was an exhibition.
It was an exhibition.
He beat up a flyweight kickboxer that was like a sophomore in high school.
And he wasn't allowed. He wasn't allowed to kick. Like, you know, like that shit's crazy, you know. But hey, I want to.
That's when I lost faith in
okay.
boxing.
I want to ask you guys. I want to test your guys' temperature right now. You know what I mean? I wonder where you guys are at here. You know, I want to know your excitement level. You know, right now, because let me tell you something. Let me tell you guys something. Amir King Khan against Cal Special Brook. What will break first? Amir Khan's chin or Calbert's eye? I don't know, Bane. I have no idea, but let's find out. I just want to know how pumped you guys are, because this is the fight we all been waiting for years. It's how many years in the making? Like 10 years in the making. I mean, we're talking about a fight. I hope they put Gamboa, Juanma on the undercard. I mean, that would be perfect. Okay, but Khan, Brook, baby, let's go. Come on, I want to know your excitement level. 1 being not that excited, 10 being the most excited you could be. From 1 to 10, 408.
0.
Jesus Christ.
You know what, D-Styles? I was at an Amir Khan fight at the MGM Grand in 2015 in December. It was probably the same weekend as this one. That's when I would have liked to have seen that fight, in 2015.
Okay, all right. Not even a 2, like a 1.1. You know what I mean? Nothing. All right, Maestro, from a scale of 1 to 10, excitement level.
Well, look, I'll be honest.
You don't sound excited about it, but
well, those who know me know that I don't eat anything that comes from an animal at all. And I was about as excited for this fight as I was about a cheeseburger. But now that it's signed, I don't know. Maybe it's because I used to live in England. Maybe it's because my dad is from Islington, born of a Spanish and African. I don't really know. Maybe it's that side of me that's calling for a little bit of Sheffield versus Manchester. But
all right, now you're talking.
I'm trying to get hyped. I'm trying to hype myself up. I just can't do it. I'm not excited.
You were getting there. You're almost there.
I'm not excited at all. I'm sorry.
He was almost there, ladies and gentlemen. He almost converted himself. Gail, how excited, how pumped up are you about this fight? I know you looked at sleep thinking about this fight, right?
Just like my friend here, who is not interested in being a carnivore, and neither am I. I do not imbibe too much, so to speak, almost a teetotaler. However, there is not enough Guinness in the world that I could drink. That would make me interested. This fight is scheduled a week after the Super Bowl. Is that correct? Yes.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yep. That is also going to be the last weekend of the Winter Olympics, and I think I will. I think I would much rather watch curling than carnival.
Man, this is a no-sell. So what is it? A 0-2?
You know what? As a British curiosity, great. I get it. They do a lot of weird curiosity shit over there. God bless them for their eccentricities. It makes the world fun. Doesn't mean I have to participate.
Okay. Hey, Beeb, you are England's adopted son. Like you have no choice but to pump this fight up. You know what I mean? I mean, just the curiosity of it. What's gonna break first? Like the chin or one of the two eye sockets? You know what I mean? It's interesting.
Believe it or not, I am interested in the fight. A scale of 1 to 10, I'll give it a 5. And I'll tell you why. Remember, I used to say this a lot when we used to do the Rope Dope radio show back in 2009. I said, sometimes you take two guys who are at the same point in their career. It turns out to be a pretty entertaining, competitive fight, right? Because of the buildup and the anticipation. And I've been watching the press conferences and stuff. The fight is kind of intriguing because you're saying to yourself, all this drama that's been built up, now you're coming to the culmination. We're finally getting it. Now, these guys, what are they, like 35-ish? Terrence Crawford's about 35. Now, obviously, I'm not saying they're Terrence Crawford. Don't get me wrong. But they're not too far past the point where that they're incapable of fighting. So they're not at their best, but they're not all the way gone either. So because they're both, like I said, at that same type of level, I think we're going to get a pretty good fight. I think they both have very entertaining styles. They're both very good offensively. They both have defensive liabilities. They're both vulnerable. These are all the ingredients for a pretty entertaining fight, if you really think about it. So I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised at how entertaining this fight's going to turn out to be.
There you go. There you go. That's what it's all about right there. You know what I mean? Not every fight has to be a world title fight, but it's going to be about who's the best welterweight out of England. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about right there.
Can I tell you one picking?
I don't know about that one, D. What about Conor Ben?
Amir Khan's going to win a unanimous decision.
Ooh-wee. Well, okay. All right, I got you.
What about David Avenetian? David Avenetian.
Do you guys remember Gorilla Monsoon?
I love Gorilla Monsoon.
When Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant were standing in the corner, right? And they were facing each other, and then he goes, "What happens when the unstoppable force meets the immovable object?" Well, actually, I think it was Hogan and Ultimate Warrior when he said that. But nonetheless, right? So, Bruce, you're a wrestling fan, right? You remember those days? Well, this is like...
I'll admit to that, bro.
This right here, this is like the stoppable force meets the movable object. That's what makes it interesting, right? But are you excited about this fight?
Well, the one thing about it is the parity. Nobody can question that. Both of these fighters, one's got a China chin, and the other one's a neurological surgeon's dream. You know, I hope they don't knock out each other, hurt each other. You know, I'm a fight fan, bro. Damn. If I go outside, I see a couple of bums in front of my house trading shots, man. That's the start of a good day, bro. So yeah, you know, I'm semi excited, especially at being a card in England. So it'll be on in the afternoon, maybe before a big fight on a Saturday night. And you know, hey man, it is what it is. Boxing's giving it to me, man. I'm gonna watch it, bro.
I don't know. I don't think it's gonna go decision. I don't think Khan's chin nor Brook's eyes can go a decision.
There you go.
I don't see it. One's gonna break first.
China chin, and it could be ugly.
That's right. That's right. You know what? And I actually agree with Beeb. I do think Khan's gonna win. I really do. I think Khan, and you see what he did right there, Gail. And now you're debating with yourself who's gonna win. It's an interesting fight. You know it is. You're like, he can't beat Kell Brook. And then
I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, wouldn't it be Alanis Morissette ironic if one of these guys doesn't pass the pre-fight physical and the fight never happens in the first place?
Oh wow! You went there.
Kell Brook should not be in that ring. No physician worth his or her license should send a guy into the ring with a stitched together, patched together face like he's got.
It's hanging on by dear life, but it's there.
Yeah,
this guy right here to the bottom left, he's going to make sure that fight happens. You know what I mean? Look at that thumb. Look at that.
He's
thumb.
not involved.
No. It's not. He's dogging the fight, bro. It's taking place on Sky.
It's on Sky, so we can
it's his mortal enemies. So yeah. I'm telling you, I'm not quite sure this fight's going to take place at all.
You think something's going to happen, Gail? And they're going to call it off?
I think someone's not going to pass a physical, and I think it's going to be Brook.
Now you're making me think about that.
Okay, all right. Now, really quick.
But have fun, guys, in the build-up, because that might be all you get.
So I'm going to end this poll. I'm going to end this poll because it's JoJo 81% and 19% after 102 votes. So it looks like JoJo is a consensus more likely to win. So thanks for voting, guys. We definitely appreciate you guys voting there. A couple more topics, we're moving along here. And I want to thank everybody in the chat for being here. Hit that like button, by the way. Share this video on our social media platform. And if you're listening on archive as well, and don't miss my Astro show right after. The party keeps going. You know what I mean? And one question I want you to have in mind, and don't reveal it in the chat yet, save it for my Astro show, is who's the best father-son duel in boxing. Just think about it and wait for the show. And then you can reveal it in the chat over there, okay? Check this out. I want to talk about George Kambosos. And I'm not getting tired of talking about this guy because it is his week, right? It was a big victory. He earned it, right? Maestro played a nice clip saying that while this dude was in limelight, I was in the shadows or whatever he said, like training, like damn.
The darkness.
You know what I mean?
Darkness.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally? You simply adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. You know what I mean? I'm like, what the hell's going on? But with that said, I want to go around the panel here and just because here's what I'm noticing a pattern. Okay, Ryan Garcia. Oh, my next fight is against Kambosos. Shakur all of a sudden forgot all about Colbert, Valdez. Like he wants to go to Australia to fight him for the titles, right? You got a lot of guys. Just Tank Davis. All of a sudden, he's talking about these guys. You could never get him to talk about the champion, but now he's like, "Oh, I'll go to Australia. I'll knock him out. He don't even have to put the titles on the line or whatever the hell he said to Ali Setback, right?" So obviously there's this feeling, and then Haney, he's all game, and he wants him next. He's like, "I'll go to Australia," like whatever, right? So there's this like feeling of like. It's obvious that they think it's like an easy pickings. Like I could go get these belts from this dude, right? Is it though? Like, do we all got it wrong? Like, is this really a case of? Is it all like, oh, the Lopez's had a bad night, or how much of this is just Kambosos is probably better than everyone is still not giving him credit for, right? Is it easy pickings? Do they got it wrong? Do the fans got it wrong? Let's start with you, 408.
why do these guys think it's an anomaly? That they're convinced it's a fluke. But this week, Manny Pacquiao, after the fight, congratulated him on all the rounds they sparred. And Manny Pacquiao deserves credit in some ways because Kambosos obviously learned a lot from this once-in-a-lifetime fighter, and people, I guess we weren't keen on it. I went on a couple shows and said there was nothing in his resume that indicated he'd pull off this upset. But for all the shit he talked, I was excited to see if he could pull it off, if he had convinced himself to execute the perfect game plan. And all the training he dedicated himself to in this long buildup, it paid off. And everything he learned from sparring, those hard sparring sessions with Manny Pacquiao, it paid off. I have a feeling that he's actually as good as what we saw against Teofimo Lopez. And respect to Devin Haney, who claims he'll go down to Australia, because I think that Kambosos absolutely deserves to defend all of these belts in his home country.
All right, there we go. Bruce goes, talk to us. Do these fighters and fans got it wrong?
Kambosos, he surprised the hell out of me. I was expecting for Teofimo Lopez to hurt him, man. People were asking me my predictions on the fight. I said, get the ambulance nearby. I didn't even know who George Kambosos is. He sounds like a character out of Alice in Wonderland. Really. He proved me wrong, bro. I had Big Stuff Crow, man. It was an Alice in Wonderland. It was a story, bro. Everybody, I don't know. Well, there were some people riding for Kambosos online. I thought they were nuts, man. I brushed them off. I was proven wrong, and the thing is, everything people are saying, he took the time off. He studied Lopez. He everything he said, it seemed was true. I just hope he follows and what he said. I hope he doesn't let it go to his head. I hope he doesn't start calling himself the undisputed lightweight champion. I hope he pulls up on the winner of the Haney and JoJo fight on Saturday night, and I'd like to see that settled, man. Then he can call himself undisputed, and that's what we want. And bro, the next night you got another lightweight fight that'll keep the division popping. It's what we need. I just hope Kambosos doesn't let it go to his head, because he looked like the real deal to me, man. He did what he said he was going to do. Lopez was all mouth, and he caught a beating. It was an old fashioned beat down, and man, Kambosos. Let's see what he does next, because we only look at the fighters on their last and their next fight. So let's see how he reacts to this pressure of being on top of the lightweight division, man.
Well said, brother. And a shout out to Teresa D. Says, jab that like. Make sure you guys do that. Hit the like button. I appreciate the support. Much appreciated. Maestro, talk to us. Do these fighters and the fans, I don't mean all the fans, but you know what I mean, like a lot of the fans, have this wrong? Like, are they still overlooking this guy?
D-Style, I need the full screen on this one.
Sure.
Bring it in. Let's go. Guys, he outboxed Teofimo Lopez. This was not a one punch, I got cold clock, lucky punch KO. He beat, brutalized, and outboxed, and also outworked Teofimo Lopez for what should have been a 12-round decision victory. Yes, he was underestimated. Yes, people looked at his record and said, well, he only fought Lee Selby. Well, yeah, he did beat Lee Selby. It should have been a unanimous decision. Lee Selby is actually a very good defensive fighter. Give George Kambosos 100% credit for what he did. He flew from Australia to the United States and whooped ass against the guy that many people had as a top 10 pound for pound fighter in the sport. He rested the undisputed, yet disputed championship away from the hands of Teofimo Lopez. The way he fought is not a fluke. The way he fought was not a lucky win. He earned it. Give the man his just due.
Okay, all right. Well, there you go. Maestro, make that loud and clear. You know what I mean? Gail, how do you feel about it?
Maestro, hallelujah. Pass whatever you got. You're absolutely right. Come on. I understand that for all but the committed boxing heads, Kambosos was an unknown quantity. And if all you did was look at BoxRec to see who he'd fought, okay, maybe not too impressive. What BoxRec doesn't show you is the 200 plus rounds that he sparred with Manny Pacquiao over multiple years. He appeared on an undercard in the Philippines with Pacquiao. Pacquiao does not keep around sparring partners if it isn't working for him. You know, he's got his pick of whoever he wants to pay, and he can pay them well. He kept Kambosos around. Kambosos has graduated with a Pacquiao School PhD, and that is a very valuable education. That's what's on his resume. Now, I get it. There are people who haven't really looked and thought about that and have just, you know, looked at the surface of the fight from last weekend and think, oh, yeah, right. Well, flash in the pan. He's the lightweight Buster Douglas. You know, this is going to be easy. But let's say that his potential opponents, you know, are a little smarter than that. And I think they are a little smarter than that. It's for all the belts, save the one that Haney has, which makes it smart for him to do this. And in boxing, it's not just the level of opposition, it's the risk versus the reward. It's the ROI of the fight. Why does everyone want to go get a beatdown from Canelo? Everybody is rushing to get their ass kicked by Canelo. Why? Payday, 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 right? They get a big check for it, and they think,
you want payday?
We want that. Yeah, right? So if you're willing to get paid for that, you know, you can walk away and, you know, that money makes a lot of those, you know, bruises feel a lot better. Kambosos, Kambosos headlining a card in Australia in a soccer stadium with 85,000 fans is going to be a mega event. Let's remember also, Australia's been in heavy COVID lockdown. They are itching to get out. They got money to spend. He is a national hero of epic proportions. You have no idea what a sports hero this man is. The payday will be huge for whoever fights him. So it's worth taking a chance. And they might even say to themselves, you know, privately in the back of their thoughts, well, okay, maybe I'm wrong and he beats me up. Who the hell cares? It's in Australia. Nobody here, you know, is going to be paying attention. It won't matter. I cash that check. That's it. You know, the balance of that risk reward and that intense return on investment, they're willing to take a shot, and they're willing to bet maybe that this was a one-time thing, but it was not. Trust us. Trust the panel. We know the guy is the goods. He told us he was the goods. We didn't believe him, and he's still telling us, and you're still not listening to him. Believe your eyes. Believe the man. It's for real.
There you go. There you go. Beeb. All these guys are chopping at the bit, like eager to fight him. Like Ryan Garcia forgot he was depressed. I mean, all this stuff's going on. You know what I mean? Like
he's not depressed anymore. He'd get paid.
Yeah, he's like, oh, not feeling good. Oh, I'll fight Kambosos. Like what? But either way, and not the fans. Like, is this guy's going to be a transitional champion? Is he going to be reigning for a while? Or people overlooking him, including his peers, fans, everybody?
Well, at this particular time, he deserves to be called the best lightweight in the world because he beat the man who beat the man. So we have to give him that respect. But in my opinion, styles make fights, right? And I think if he was to fight Lomachenko next, I even think Devin Haney, style-wise, matches up pretty well against him. I could see him losing to Lomachenko if he fought Lomachenko next, or if he was to fight a Devin Haney next. I think he could lose. So I don't want to take any credit away from him, but I don't think these guys like Ryan Garcia should be calling him out. Shakur Stevenson, who hasn't even fought at lightweight yet, I'm not so sure those guys deserve a shot at Kambosos next. But if he was to fight the winner of Devin Haney versus Jojo Diaz next, that would be a more than great matchup. That either one of those guys would be more than deserving of that fight. And like I said, I think Haney matches up very well against him, and I would probably pick Haney to beat him because Kambosos doesn't have that same style like Jojo. He's not an inside guy, but he could be a transitional champion, I guess, to sum it up, if he fights the wrong style matchup, in my opinion. So yeah, it's very possible he could be, but that's taking nothing away from what he accomplished. He deserves to be called the best until someone proves him wrong and proves the public otherwise.
Absolutely. I mean, very, very, very interesting. We actually have some extra time. I want to bring on an impromptu topic really quick for the panel. Mauricio Suleiman, from what Beep told me, was getting interviewed, and he actually said that hey, Mauricio, so is because he tweeted out that Kambosos is undisputed, right? And according to Mauricio Suleiman, he's now confirmed that being franchise champion is like being the super champion of the WBC, right? So if the WBA is allowed to do it, well, doesn't that create a precedent? Doesn't that mean that the president of the WBC can create his own super champion? Because now we have an interim champion in JoJo. We have a champion in I guess, regular champion in Haney. And then Kambosos, according to Mauricio, is also the champion, right? And he's also the franchise champion. I don't know. The whole thing's loony to me, right? But, and this was just really quick. Let's start with you, Beeb. What do you make of Mauricio saying this? Like that? It's like he agreed that, yes, it's basically like it being the super champion of the WBA.
Lomachenko, this is his quotes before the Teofimo Lopez fight. Lomachenko is the WBC lightweight champion with special attributes without having to face mandatories that a champion has to face. The franchise is to allow big fights that the fans want to see. So when asked if the winner of Lomachenko Lopez would be undisputed lightweight champion, Suleiman said yes. Said the franchise designation puts the winner of Lomachenko Lopez above any of the champions in the lightweight category, including, it appears, Haney. So when you read their rules, it says that the WBC can elevate a WBC champion to a franchise champion. So the word elevate to me means to rise above. So if something's above something, that means it's higher than. So originally, when he did come out with this designation, it wasn't explained as in depth as that. But when you really dig down deeper into it and you listen to what he's explaining, then it's essentially the franchise title is their version of the super champion. So
okay, all right, Maestro, Doctor, what do you make of Mauricio Suleiman creating more confusion?
The unfortunate thing is that wasn't the original meaning of the franchise champion. Funny enough, the WBC still has a 1 through 7 bullet point presentation on their website. Now, I pulled up the Spanish version. People can look up the English version if they want. But essentially, what it says is clear. It's a trophy. It's an award. It's a participation ribbon that essentially is given out to people who they deem worthy.
It wasn't a belt at first, right?
It wasn't a belt. It was never intentionally intended to be transferred during fights from fighter to fighter. In fact, if a fighter beat the franchise champion, according to the original rules, they were supposed to be awarded a diamond belt. and an automatic shot
So
at the actual champion.
I'm aware of the and I think.
Okay, so
well,
we can remove that then, and we
so-
can continue.
Yeah,
So what I gotta say is this, and I gotta ask Joe this because 95% of the time the Beeb and Maestro agree, but I think on this one I disagree with Beeb. Beeb seems to believe that Kambosos is now undisputed. Correct me if I'm wrong, and that Lopez was undisputed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Beeb, let me ask you something. If you sign up for a bank account with your local bank, right? And you sign up for a free checking account. And then all of a sudden you look at your statements, right, Joe? And you see $15 a month being withdrawn from your funds or $20 being withdrawn from your funds. Are you going to dispute that, or are you just going to let it ride?
Dispute it.
It's a dispute, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially what's going on with Devin Haney.
Mm-hmm.
He was told, yes, by email that he was a world champion, and then it was taken away from him by Mauricio Suleiman and his arbitrary rule change. But as far as I'm concerned, he has a legitimate dispute, because if Chase Bank around the corner from me here in the South Bronx decides all of a sudden my free checking account that I get to keep with my $300 minimum balance now starts to be billed at $20 a month, right, I'm going to fucking dispute that shit. And I want my money back. And essentially that's what Devin Haney is doing right now.
Yeah. I guess my stance on that whole thing is I'm not here to say that it can't be disputed. What I'm saying is I don't dispute it. And a lot of people don't dispute it because if you read the rules, you have to be a WBC champion to be elevated to that status. So the key word is elevate. Whenever I hear we're going to elevate you, that means you're giving me a promotion, essentially. So if I'm being promoted, I have to be better than what I was before. So if I was just a regular WBC champion, now I'm a franchise champion.
You know what I'm realizing? That people are going to have to go take a course in college to understand these WBC rules down the line.
But by the terminology of it, I agree with Maestro. Originally, it was just supposed to be a designation.
Right.
But they actually made a belt for it. And Teofimo Lopez was handed 2 belts. He was handed a WBC belt and a franchise title. So they did make the rules up as they went along here, and I can't disagree or dispute that side of the argument. But at the end of the day, my own personal opinion, I like what they did by changing the rules. I like that they made it transferable. I like that they made it a super champion, more so than just having it as a designation, right? I would rather them just have 1 belt, but if they are going to keep this franchise designation or this franchise title, I like it better this way than the original.
I got you.
The original way they set it up.
408, what do you think about this, brother? What do you make of it? Do you think this will become like the super championship in every division? Estrada already got one. Him and Chocolatito will probably fight for the franchise belt now. You know what I mean? What do you make of it?
It's so confusing that I think this is what drives people into this zone where they're just casual fans of the sport of boxing. This is how Floyd is getting away with marketing Gervonta Tank Davis as this multi-division champion, because they pick up these phony paper titles and they convince you that he's actually the real deal at each weight division. It's so confusing, even for someone who watches boxing regularly. So what is it? Revisionist history? Now Teofimo was undisputed? And now he's telling me he really was undisputed? How much did we argue about that all year, whether or not he was undisputed? I can't keep up with the WBC, man. It just disgusts me.
Gail, what do you make of it?
Everybody is laughing at this. I mean, come on. Those of us who are actually wasting time talking about this, we could be doing something more interesting, like, checking the betting lines or getting a manicure. I mean, come on. Who cares? And only folks wound around the axle of boxing rules care. The general fans want to see good fights. They don't know the difference. it's Mauricio's game. It's his toys. He can pick them up and leave if he wants to. Everybody gets it.
Right.
It really becomes so ridiculous. It devalues the whole process, and it becomes a who cares. So it's a shame because the fighters themselves really want to know where they stand. There's no way to tell.
Right. No, definitely. I agree with you. What do you make of it, Bruce?
I'm 100% with Gail on this one, man. I mean, the WBA, the WBC, man. You know, I remember when I remember them back in the '80s, and they're an organization where the president was designated from father to son. I mean, doesn't that say something, man? Isn't that what the revolution was all about? But yet we still bow to their rules, and they dictate these mandates. And I personally, I saw Jose Sullivan when somebody was asking him about the franchise belt. It was with Vasily Lomachenko, and he said, I designate that as it's not a belt that you can win or lose in the ring. It's a designated. I forget exactly what he called it. But then it seems like the very next week when Teofimo beat Lopez, he turned right around, and he said it was lost in the ring, and now all the organizations are hopping on a super title. It's another way to get a sanctioning fee. It makes it confusing, bro. I go down to the corner and I talk to the G's a lot. I take the dog for a walk, and we talk about. Of course, I go down there and like, oh shit, boxing. But I asked them, you guys ever heard of franchise champion? And man, really, I hear for the French fries champion. I really hear that the jokes we make online here. They don't know what the franchise champion is. The general public out there could care less, man. It's another sanctioning fee. We're like sheep. We follow these organizations. We could do a whole show on the corruption that's going on with the WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO, bro. But I'm just gonna say, it's a shit show. I'm sitting back here. I'm watching it all, and I don't take it serious, bro. It's nothing out of my pocket. These guys want those belts over their shoulders. Fine, let them do it, man. Let them get away with it, bro.
All right, thanks. Thanks for those thoughts on that, guys. I don't know where Meister went, but all I want to say is this: anytime Mauricio says, "Oh, the board of governors had a vote," and that's as legitimate as the People's Republic of North Korea having a vote for the president. Okay, Kim Jong-un. That's how legit that shit is. Okay. All right. And for some political talk, you could always go to Sucker Punch every Tuesday before HCP on Maestro's channel. But now I want to go ahead and one more topic. This is the most serious one of them all. Okay. I'm going to ask her also after you guys give me your thoughts, just really quick, let everybody know where they can find you and give us any final thoughts. So, supposedly, according to Dolph Lundren, this was a story on battletooth.com by John Hansen. So shout out to him. So Dolph Lundren talked to like the Hollywood Reporter or something like that and said that there's going to be a Drago spinoff. Enough of the Rocky spinoffs. I don't need it no more. You know how many great real boxing stories there's out there for one franchise that have like 20 different movies? I love the Rocky movies, but I don't know, man. I'm over it. Like, really? Drago is going to have a spinoff? Like, really? Like Drago? Ivan Drago? Like, come on. A drug cheat is going to have his own spinoff? Like, what's going on over here? All right? Everybody knows that dude was on the juice. All right? I have the video evidence. It was in the movie Rocky 4. I don't have the timestamp for you, but they injected that shit. Okay? So I just want to know, do you want to see a spinoff of Drago? Yes or no? And then I want to ask you, who would win with VADA testing? Drago or Clubber Lang? All right? And then give me your final thoughts and everybody where they can find you. Maestro, I know you got to get the show ready, so I'll start with you. You're muted, brother.
I'm muted.
Go ahead and fix that. I'll go to Beeb. Beeb? Give me your thoughts, brother.
I love it. I
love it.
I love the spinoffs. I love the character Drago, and Drago would destroy Clubber Lang. He would destroy Clubber Lang. This wouldn't even be close. Clubber Lang's
Russian
got no
propaganda.
stamina.
I feel like this is a Red Scare all over again.
There's already ways they could work around VADA testing, and plus Drago's had years of the benefits of all those drugs. They're not going to just go away overnight. Drago's a machine. He's not going to lose.
And you want to see it, okay? And give us your final thoughts
so
so
sorry.
everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me every Sunday at Ringside Reporter Live. Myself, Eric Lauder. We do our podcast 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Obviously, you can find me here every Thursday on the Roundtable. Final thoughts is, I think we can have another big upset back to back. And I just think shout out to DAZN for just putting on such memorable fights, and we're not having to pay pay-per-view prices for them. So I got to give Eddie Hearn, I got to give Matchroom, and I got to give DAZN a lot of props for how they're closing out this year. They're doing very well, and they're closing the year out strong.
Can you hear me now, D?
Yes. And
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Joe. Have a good one, brother. Go ahead, Maestro.
I find this very interesting, D-Style, because look, at the end of the day, I don't remember Ivan Drago going through airport security, getting busted for human growth hormone and all kind of pills and shit. I mean, last time I checked, that was literally the guy that played Rocky. But look, I don't know. There's not that much going on in movies these days. I mean, remakes are the new thing in Hollywood. Also, the less dialogue, the better, because they can sell it to foreign markets, in China and India and all other kind of countries. So, look, I'm not exactly excited about it, but I'll definitely watch. And who do I think would win? Probably Drago, because at the end of the day, like, they maybe tried to fix it up with camera shit, but Sylvester Stallone is like, what, 5'6", 5'7", I don't know. Mr. T's not exactly that tall. Whereas Dolph Lundgren was actually like a legit like 6'5" or whatever.
It would look like Callum Smith versus Canelo, brother. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So I'm going with Drago all the way. So yes, sir. It's Maestro a Boxeo, Maestro a Boxing, proud member of the HCP Network of Champions, leaded by that man right over there, Mr. D-Style Boxing, El Capitan. There can only be one quarterback of the HCP community. Sink or swim. That's how I look at it. You don't want to roll against us. It's HCP all day, every day. Salute to the chat. Bruce goes, pleasure to see you, brother. Gail, pleasure to see you. Dave from the floor, always good. And D-Style, thank you so much. I'm going to drop the link to Overtime in the chat. Get your list of father trainers ready, because we're going to be discussing it.
That's right. Everybody head out over there after the show for sure. Shout out to Maestro Boxing. Subscribe to his channel. Gail, talk to us. First of all, do you want to see us another Rocky spinoff of any, especially a Drago one? And who would win, Drago or Clubber Lang with VADA testing? Okay. And give us your final thoughts.
Do not waste our time with a movie spinoff when we could have Clubber versus Drago in a real life Triller Legends war. Put those boys in the ring. It would make a fortune. And Triller, you're welcome. Joe, call them up. It's a doable thing. Go for it. It's a freebie. Yeah. It's all. Yeah, I don't need. Yeah, you want to pay me a cut? Fine. Drago will crush him like the bug he is. But do not waste the celluloid. Get in there and back it up and do it for real this time. That is an attraction, right? And something needs to save Triller right now. I'll tell you what, and that might be it. That might be it.
Lundren versus Mr. T would sell, that's for sure.
Do it, do it, do it.
Lundren was a real fighter, though, so I don't know how good that would go for Mr. T.
You know what? We have seen worse train wrecks and shit shows. I mean, what's one more, right? I mean, this one is at least creative and amusing. I say, you know, again, as long as they can pass the physicals, go for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Gil, tell everybody where they can find you.
So you can find me, and I am a regular old school boxing writer, ladies and gentlemen, at Communities Digital News, which is COM, C-O-M-M, Digi, D-I-G-I News, comdiginews.com. However, I am also now part of the nyfights.com team at nyfights.com, and I am proud to be accepted into the HCP. Do I look Hispanic? No, but I live just a few miles from the Mexican border. So hell, that qualifies.
Well, there you go. It's always a pleasure to have you on. You have a good one, Gil.
You got it.
All right. 408. Talk to us, brother. Talk to us. You know, like, do you want to see a spinoff? Yes or no? Who would win that fight to give us a final thoughts?
You know, I think it's fitting that you brought up a Rocky movie because this past Saturday's fight had a really cinematic, climactic ending. And that's why I'm debating right now in my head whether or not it's going to be my fight of the year. It really was like a real life Rocky movie. That being said, I'm started reading this book called The Winner's Mind by Alan Fox about how champions recover from losses. And even though it's a book about tennis, I mean, it could easily be written about boxing. Here's a quote. The successful overachiever reacts differently to failure than ordinary people. Damn. I want to know how Teofimo Lopez is going to react and what we're going to see from him next year, because that is what makes a champion, truly makes a champion. That being said, about this Rocky remake, it's about as exciting as the Holly Berry MMA movie that I'm ashamed to admit I watched it this weekend.
Holly Berry was in
on Netflix. And you know what? Straight to Netflix. So I'm rocking with the A-team. I'm rocking with the A-team because we see that Canelo Alvarez, he can handle those Eastern European fighters, even if they're at a size advantage. So I'm going with Mr. T. Oh, right. I'm going to drop my channel here Monday nights. Please subscribe, check us out, because we'll see where the schedule is, what time I'll be going on Monday nights, man. So I'm going to hit up my channel right here. Thanks, guys.
It sounds good, brother. Everybody subscribe to the Shoe Shine. The link is in the chat. You have a good one, Dave. All right. And the one and the only Bruce goes. How's it going, brother? Thank you for spending your time with us here at the Round Table. It was an honor having you on. You've been a long-time subscriber. Same question to you. Like what do you think about? Are you interested in a spinoff of Drago? And who would win, Drago or Clubber Lang?
Well, let's see. Am I interested? You know, the beauty part about this is it'll be out there in one of these movie sites if it's a movie. So anytime I have a couple of hours that I want to blow in fantasy land, yeah, I'll go see it, man. It's nothing. You know, it happens. And like I told you, D Styles, combat sports. Now, that would be a fight. That would be an awesome movie fight, man. Can you imagine doing the punches, the blood? No, he's got to go down. No, they would stop the fight. Oh man, Clubber Lang and freaking that and Ivan Drago, bro. I mean, that's what movies are made of, bro. And whoever Drago wants to win, probably himself. But in a real fight, no PEDs, man. I see Clubber Lang as just being that pit bull dog and busting them up on the insides and, just chopping them in half. It would be a great fight in real life in fantasy land, wherever we may see it again. But yeah, and bro, everybody kind of knows who I am. Bruce goes. I'm out there. I have my own site now, man. I'm featuring. I have a little better than above average knowledge in boxing, professional wrestling, fitness, health, and education, man. I've been a certified personal trainer, a nutritional advisor, sold nutritional supplements for 30 years. I also know a lot about music, specifically jazz. I did a show today on Miles Davis. I talked for an hour, and I could have talked for another 3 hours, man. Miles is the man. But anyway, man, also I'm going to do shows on on fine weed too. That's another one of my passions. These styles. I went through a nice fatty while I was on here. We just soloed it, man. I hit the forceps afterwards, man. It was a great show, bro. I dropped my link in there. Thanks for having me. Thanks everybody for listening. I know you could have been anywhere else, man. So could I, but we were right here with these styles in the round table, man. You know, thank you very much, bro. Peace out to you.
Absolutely, Bruce Goes. Shout out to you, brother. Thanks for coming on. I want to thank everybody that came on. Make sure the link is in the chat. Go to Maestro A Boxing for Roundtable Overtime. The link is in the chat. All right. I want to thank everybody. Look. First of all, let me tell you something. I'm not interested in a Drago spinoff. Right. I do believe. I'm a firm believer that villains. Although once in a while I get it, but I think the mysteriousness of villains, I think, is like a lost thing. And one of the reasons I like the movie The Dark Knight, because there's a lot of mystery behind the Joker. Like, we don't know the origins of that Joker like that, but that's okay. Like, we don't need to know, you know. Well, I don't need to know how Drago was brought up, and like, I don't need to know all that. I just need to know that this dude just showed up out of nowhere, killed Apollo Creed, murdered him in the ring because we know he was juiced up the gills, right? And he cheated. He did MMA moves on Apollo. That wasn't cool. Like, you know what I mean? This dude had him on full Nelsons. The ref was in on it. The ref wouldn't stop it, right? The ref was an accomplice, right? And then not only that, I mean, Clubber Lang would beat up the body, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Clubber Lang was a more vicious puncher than Rocky. Like, imagine like him, like Drago couldn't handle the body shots late. He just couldn't. If you go over 6 rounds with the Drago, you could attack the body, get on the inside. Clubber Lang would rip that body apart. Okay? Pain, baby. Pain. And go to Maestro Boxing. I'll post the link one more time. The link, that's the link right now in the chat. So, you know, make sure you go over there. Shout out to Maestro. Shout out to Montero, Beeb, Gale, 408, Bruce Goes. We're trying to bring D. Jefferson out. I don't know what happened. I couldn't get him on, but we're going to try to, you know, get him back on another week and all that good stuff. You know, get him back on the round table. You know, I try to bring him on as some surprise guest. It didn't happen. This is D-Style Boxing. You make sure you keep it boxing. I'm out of here.